श्री महाभारत कथा।
श्री महाभारत कथा।
महाभारत कथा। कथा है पुरुषार्थ की, ये स्वार्थ की, परमार्थ की, सारथी जिसके बने श्री कृष्ण भारत पार्थ की। शब्द दिग्घोषित हुआ जब सत्य सार्थक सर्वथा। शब्द दिग्घोषित हुआ। यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत, अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य, तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्, परित्राणाय साधूनां, विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां, धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे।
Markandeya arrived, sharing the history of Prithu, the son of Vina, the stories of Saraswati and the Rishi Tarkhya, the story of Matsya, and other old stories. Following these, the story of Indradyumna and Dhundhumara unfolded, as well as the chaste wife's history. The meeting and conversation of Draupadi and Satyabhama was detailed, and the Pandavas returned to the Dwaita forest. A procession was organized to see the calves and capture Duryodhana, who was later rescued by Arjuna. Yudhishthira had a dream featuring a deer, and the Pandavas eventually re-entered the Kamyaka forest. Here, the lengthy story of Rihidranika was also explained. The story of Dwaita and Jayadratha's abduction of Draupadi from the asylum were also recounted, along with Bhima's swift pursuit and Jayadratha's ill-shaven crown at Bhima's hand. Finally, the epic story of Rama, in which Rama slew Ravana in battle, and the story of Savitri were narrated. Here, the story of Savitri is narrated, followed by Karna's ordeal when Indra seized his earrings. Afterward, Karna received a sakti, a missile weapon, from a grateful Indra. This weapon had the unique power to kill only one person against whom it was thrown. Subsequently, the story titled Aranya is presented, in which Dharma, the god of justice, offered advice to his son, Yudhishthira. In this story, the account is also given of how the Pandavas, after having obtained a boon, embarked on a journey towards the west. The Parva that follows is called Virata. Upon their arrival at the dominions of Virata, the Pandavas saw a cemetery on the outskirts of the city, where they kept their weapons. This marks their entry into the city and the outskirts, where they kept their weapons. Next, we have the slaying of the wicked Kikak, who, driven mad by lust, sought Draupadi. Then Bhima's rescue of Virata, who was captured by enemies, and the release of the king's kine. The seizure of Virata's kine again by the Kurus, and the defeat of all the Kurus by the single-handed Arjuna mark the end of this episode. The bestowal of Virata's daughter Uttara for Arjuna's acceptance, on behalf of his son by Subhadra, commonly known as Abhimanyu, who would be the destroyer of foes, concludes the contents of the extensive fourth Parva, called the Virata. While the Pandavas resided in Upaplavya, desiring victory, Duryodhana and Arjuna both went to Vasudeva simultaneously. They requested, "You should render us assistance in this war." The high-souled Krishna, upon these words being spoken, replied, "O ye first of men, I, a counselor and one Aksohini of troops, which should I give to which of you?" Here, we find a description of how, when the king of Madra came to assist the Pandavas, Duryodhana deceived him with presents and hospitality, inducing him to grant a boon and then soliciting his assistance in battle. This is followed by Salya reciting the history of Indra's victory over Vritra to the Pandavas, consoling them. King Dhritarashtra, upon hearing the words of the Purohita and the story of Indra's victory, decided to send Sanjaya as an envoy to the Pandavas, in hopes of peace. Dhritarashtra's anxiety upon hearing about the Pandavas and their friends kept him awake through the nights, during which Vijura counseled him with wisdom, and Sanat Sujata recited spiritual truths to the sorrowing monarch. Nay. Sanjaya's revelation of Vasudeva and Arjuna's identity to the Pandavas, Krishna's mission to Hastinapura for peace, and Duryodhana's rejection of his embassy led us to the recounting of various stories, such as that of Damvadvaya, the search for a husband by the high-souled Matuli, the history of the sage Galava, and the training and discipline of the son of Bijula. The search for a husband by the high-souled Matuli, the history of the sage Galava, the training and discipline of the son of Bijula. Krishna's exhibition of his yoga powers in the assembly of Rajas is taking Karna in his chariot and offering advice, and Karna's rejection of both Duryodhana and Krishna follow. The return of Krishna to Upaplavya and the narration of all that had happened to the Pandavas mark the end of this section. Krishna's taking Karna in his chariot and offering advice, and Karna's rejection of both Duryodhana and Krishna follow. With every preparation for war made by the Pandavas, the march from Hastinapura to the battlefield ensues. Both armies prepare their troops, foot soldiers, horses, charioteers, and elephants. The narrative then details the various classes of charioteers. Subsequently, Uluka is dispatched as envoy to the Pandavas on the day previous to the battle. The story of Amba concludes the fifth Parva, the Udyoga, full of incidents relevant to war and peace. This Parva tells of the formation of the region known as Jambu and the Great Depression of Yudhishthira's army, followed by 10 days of fierce fighting. The high-souled Vasudeva, through reasons based on the philosophy of final release, drove away Arjuna's compunction, arising from his concern for his kin, whom he was preparing to slay. Krishna, witnessing the losses inflicted on the Pandava army, he swiftly descended from his chariot, ran with a dauntless breast, and wielded his driving whip to bring about Bhishma's death. Smote with piercing words Arjuna, the foremost of bowmen, placed Shikandin before him, and pierced Bhishma with his sharpest arrows, causing him to fall from his chariot. No knee. Bhishma lay stretched upon his bed of arrows for the remainder of this Parva, known as the sixth in the Bharata. In total, 117 sections were composed, with a count of 5,884 slokas, as told by Vyasa conversant with the Vedas.